Okay, we are back. Deleting all the things, new window. And today I'm just going to type in a chat message. Oh, that 5 cents is just really sticking over the top of my face there. Shall I leave that? Let's try that. A bit dumb. All right, today we are going. Today I am going to create. Is my sound working? I think my sound is working. Today I'm going to create a new Firebase app to move features from the Vibe coded app. Okay, I had an Excalibur here somewhere. What did I have? Was it this? Yeah, close other tabs. So I just typed out a few things about Firebase, and I haven't created a Firebase app before. I mean, actually, I do know what it is, obviously, because if you haven't watched...
You're one sentence away from launching your website with Base 44.
If you haven't watched, say, this video, let me just mute that. Let's play that. If you haven't watched this video, gives you that 100 seconds of what Firebase is from a guy who makes money making Firebase content and other content. All right, close the thing. So what I want to do is, so the reason why I'm choosing Firebase is because Dan's business is in Google Cloud. I mean, generally speaking, when I work with him, we prefer Google Cloud. We've got some stuff set up in there around in BigQuery, and some got some like cloud runners and things that do some data processing. So we're both kind of Google Cloud people. We like it, and so I suppose that Firebase is not a bad choice here. My biggest concern when I'm looking at choosing anything is I haven't used Firebase before. So the idea is that I know it's got a bunch of features, and I kind of don't want to step on the toes of the features I'm getting for free. But I also don't want to get delivered into a scenario where I'm paying for computer expenses that I don't want. So I don't want to turn on an always-on SQL server, for example. I'm expecting to get a certain free tier of activity inside my plan because Google likes you to be on the platform, so they give you a bit of free. They give you some credits towards some of the stuff you use. So in my experience, using BigQuery without really much or any expense is quite a common experience for me, because if you just barely scratch the surface, they want people on the platform, they want people to evangelize the platform. So I'm trying and like tread lightly, stay as native as possible. I'm going to try and stick to NoSQL document store. I'm used to like relational databases. Personally, I love SQL. But for what we're looking at here that he wants is a HR application. He's got things like someone's logging in. They are downloading documents. They're agreeing to certain agreements. They're looking at, I think he wants to be able to show them their payroll. If you've ever worked in industry and you've worked with, say, something like Employment Hero, kind of the sort of vibe that he's going for. And I think to a large degree, a lot of the information can be stored in JSON in a document store like Firestore. I think it's going to be fine. I don't think you're not going to be like, oh damn, I can't do a massive 10 join query across all this data and whatever. You're not going to get that situation. Also, in setting up, I kind of am a bit of a Tailwind fan in that I like Vite and Tailwind set up in a specific way, and I like TypeScript. I like to use TypeScript with AI specifically because I feel like there's that extra like layer of protection or layer of like constraint about what gets produced. Worst thing that can happen is it gets a bit out of control, or some of the benefits of TypeScript aren't realized. So yeah, I'm also aware of that as well. So I'm going to take this pretty naively in some ways because I kind of know what I want to do, and I don't really know. I haven't done it before. So let's say if I search for Firebase, let's say Firebase setup. Now I want to get a bit of chat going on here as well. So let's create a new chat here. Okay, so give me basic steps to init a Firebase app locally. I want Firestore. I want Firestore, obviously. I prefer PNPM. Just as and it's one of those things. It's like I use it a lot. It's my go-to. So, assuming a browser-based JavaScript app, good assumption. I would have thought that assumption was going to be out of the box. Create a local project, init, add Firebase, PNPM, add Firebase, sure, add Firebase tools. I'm just going to naively assume that this is all correct, that the AI was trained on the right way to do this, more or less. I kind of want to stop short. I'd like to be able to work locally, install a Firebase CLI. So you do that inside your project, so you don't do that globally. That's interesting. You can exec that, sure. And we can then select your project. If it's just a Google Cloud project and has add Firebase to the project first in the Firebase console. Okay, so we're going to do that. I'm going to just do this first, I think. So let's jump into cloud. And I know Firebase was a product that Google purchased. Console sign in, sure. Stay soft screen. Try another way. Authenticator. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. So I'm logged in. I am going to search for Firebase. And I want to create a new Firebase app. So is there a place that tells me where I can do that? I'm avoiding magically building with AI. I know there's a Google AI workbench or something like that now, AI Studio. I'm not going to do any of that. Am I in the right project? I want to be in yes, I want to be in, I think we were planning to create a new project, so I'm going to do that. I usually like to create the projects. So quantify. So I'm going to prefix it and just do something like that and see if that's available. And let's create. Sure. So just looking at those instructions, the instructions gave me the suggestion, if it's just a Google Cloud project and hasn't had Firebase added, add Firebase to the project first in the Firebase console. So I think that is up here. I mean, if it means that this is the console, but I don't see a place where it says initialize your Firebase app. Firestore, SQL Connect, get started, Firebase AI Logic, Firestore. See, I know I'm talking about Firebase, it's like a platform. So what do I want to make in the platform? Do I want to make Firestore? So maybe let's just jump into Firestore. You're heading to Firebase for Firestore. Let's go there. A few things to remember when adding Firebase to a Google Cloud project. You won't be able to undo this. Sure. Confirm the pricing plan. So as far as cost goes, I'm tolerant to some costs. Like I'm assuming that with the number of people we have in the organization who we've got like, I don't know, 5 or 10 people a day doing some things in this application. Not, oh shit, the cats are gone. Doing some manner of, they're not really hammering this application. So I've got tolerance for costs, and I'm also interested to see costs. I'm interested to see what costs build up on the platform through use and through building something for a small business that is basically a cafe that wants to have a little HR portal. So that's fine. So yes, I know that there will be costs. I guess get that there's going to be cost. Would I do it for myself? Maybe not. Enable Google Analytics. So let's continue. It hasn't asked me for my project. Here we go. Aussie Coffee. Oh, that's for the Google Analytics. Sure. No, see, it's doing it for the wrong project. How did that even happen? So fuck off. What happened then? ETL operations. Had it not switched it? Okay, so there's my Pontify. Sure. Get started. Let's try this now. I'm looking, okay, so that's the right project up there in the URL. Continue. I'm not going to enable Google Analytics. It's an internal app. So it seems to me that by creating by choosing Firestore, it's taking me through setting up a Firebase app. Sure, that's fine. Hello, Aussie, welcome back. That's my one here. So I'm on Firebase. Here's my Firebase app. There was another Firebase app there previously, and I think that's how the prototype, the vibe coded prototype began. It began by creating a new Firebase application, and then when Dan, and I said this in a previous video, when Dan needed to add a fingerprint scanner, he got himself a bit turned around, and he vibe coded like a Node application, and he vibe coded a C# application to run on the Surface Pro. And then I think he set his storage in his Firebase app to local, and then I think he basically he vibe coded an app build process and then he opened up an ngrok service to the Surface Pro, downloaded a zip file, installed it, which installed Node and everything on that Surface Pro, and I think it's using local storage. So that's why there's already Firebase app, and that's why I'm not using it, because I don't really know what's happened to that app, so I'm kind of staying out of the way of it. So here we've got a new project. It's got a nice clean project name. And okay, so I've done that, and I'm just like scanning these instructions again. So it's sort of suggesting that I'm going to want to have a project set up. That's fine. Register your browser app. Sure. So I have a feeling I'm going to end up diverging a little bit from some of this stuff, but I'll come back to this. So let's, where we're setting up our app is inside this initial, we've got the old code base that we've previously discussed in the previous streaming, and I've got the same Git repo in this folder, AC Pontify, and at the moment I've deleted everything out of this. If I list, like, I've got a few things in there that are still in there. Actually, I don't want some of this stuff. Let's get rid of that. I mean, that's just going to come back, but whatever. So obviously keep the Git history, because I will want to, I'll keep the Git in this different branch in the Git history, and I might have diverged the histories quite dramatically or whatever, but or there might not be a practical diff that you can do. However, I do want to keep it in the same repo. So I'm not sure. I'm going to get rid of all that, and I'll probably just leave. I'll leave the rest. So CI git add dot git CI, and I'll just amend that onto the previous. So there's my big deletion of stuff, which I found out today in many cases is not actually finished features. It's like kind of spec'd features. It's, instead of creating a backlog and putting a whole bunch of stuff in your backlog about the features that you want, why don't we vibe code it and just build a dashboard that has fake features in it? Do not recommend. It's so confusing. So we've got some things that are working in there, some things that aren't working in there. And okay, so I'm in the place where I want to be, and I'm just going to assume that naively that all this stuff works. Okay, sure. Yep, it's giving it a name. That's fine. Yep. So here I may be out of my depth a little bit. That's because it wants a version of Firebase. So let's just go npm add Firebase, see what version it is. I'm going to assume this documentation is pretty much up to date. Install, create and register, sure. Install the SDK. That's locally. Yeah, create a Firebase project that's in the console. Register your app. Install the SDK. Uses a JavaScript workflow. Uses like, I'm trying to think of whether that would actually just work. No, it doesn't know what that is. Or is it that yeah. Yeah, it doesn't. How does it know what that is? There must be some other context here. Oops. So there's the Firebase package. I don't know. I sometimes like obviously the instructions for these things tend to be, hey, we're going to just take you down this path of install Firebase. We're going to take you down this path of like, we want to like give you a one-stop shop installation process. And I sort of like want to break things. I just want to just do things in a dumb way, a naive way, and like go, oh, my assumption was completely incorrect. So like how is it that I've done npm, I've done pnpm init, okay, and I don't know, I've screwed something up here. Let's just open this up. All right, let's get this going. Okay, so we got a package JSON. So that's just an init. That's just a init project, sure. But how come everything's like just install Firebase? Like, how does it know what it's installing? So that's weird to me, to my brain. I don't want to switch to npm. I just don't like npm. I don't like what it represents. I don't like what it means to the world. I've got bias against npm because PHP had such a good package manager in Composer, and it created a lock file, and npm for a long time didn't. So I'm just like, it's just boopy. It's not as good. So I'm just here, I'm circling the wagons a little bit around this whole, like, how do you start a project with Firebase? I've had 2 instructions that have said I can just do this, and they don't work. So I'm kind of like finding that unusual. Let's try that. All right, how about I do this? Let's go back to the Smarty Pants and say, show what happens there. Sure. Oh. Wasn't that mildly? I have no idea why. Let's try again. I don't know why, and I will probably never know why. So that's fine. So that's grabbing Firebase. So let's just jump back into those instructions. Yeah, we're going to add the tools. So you install you don't install the CLI globally, you install it as part of the project, which I don't mind. It looks like I've got to do ignore build scripts, approve builds. Let's do that. And to invert selection. Okay, that's what I want. Yes. All right. Okay, so we've got this Fire Tools package. Let's add that. What -d is. All right. Now, I like to go as I go along. I like to kind of see what's happening. So nothing's been scaffolded yet. Just got a bunch of stuff in node modules. Actually, I would say less than I'd expect. Just these two, I would have expected a lot more other packages in there. A lot of platform packages for PNPM, I think. Sure. Yeah. No, I'm just a tourist. Just a JavaScript tourist. Okay, so then we're going to, what are we doing? We're just going to go, hey, are we alive here? Is things working? So we got Firebase 1526 and log in. Okay, enable Gemini in Firebase feature. No. Firebase optionally collects CLI and emulator suite usage. No. waiting for authentication. So it's authenticating me in another browser because it's got my default browser. So I'm just going to log that in and do that off screen. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I'm just going to turn off my roast. Okay. Right, where were we? Now, if you are watching, feel free to tell me how you think my sound is. I've been a long time away and I've got new tools, OBS. Okay, so waiting for authentication. Where did we get to on this? Let's go back here and here, continue. All right. Firebase CLI wants to access your Google account. Yes. Okay, we have a successful login. So create and link the Firebase project. If you've already created a Firebase project, then link it. Sure. Let's do that. It must be run from a Firebase project, run Firebase init. Oh, so I'd be surprised if Firebase is a command that just runs. So I think it's BP npm run Firebase, right? Init. Command Firebase not found. Let me just have a look. Or maybe it's CLI. Let's keep sleuthing. I've got a package here. Do I have some commands? Do I have commands? Packages, Firebase tools. Oh, maybe Firebase tools. All right, time to stop guessing. Let's chuck this in to here. Oh, it's the issue is just ordering. I'm a dumbass. You need to initialize your directory before Firebase use. Add pnm exec. Sure. Okay, what have we got here? You're about to initialize a Firebase project in this directory. Which Firebase features do you want to set up? Press space to select all features. SQL set. I don't want SQL Connect, no. Firestore, yes. How do you select one feature? A for all. Oh, A, space to select. Well, wait. Is this like... Oh, this is looping. Okay, SQL Connect, no. Firestore, yes. What's GenKit? And how much do I need to know? Where's my browser gone? Firebase GenKit. It's a framework. It's an open source framework. La-di-da. No. That's obviously a very specific form of Samurai Sword. Functions. Configure Google Cloud Functions directory and its files. I'd expect to want cloud functions at some point. I'm inclined to go down the path of saying yes to this because I feel like there's quite a strong chance we'll end up doing a cloud function. It's a little bit based on gut. App hosting, set up deployments for full stack web apps. Set up deployments for static web apps. Like, what's the difference between those two things? And is either of those things the thing that I want? Like, isn't just like support server-side rendering? No, we're going to go static. Configure security rules for cloud storage. Look, yes. I think that's important. It's a HR app. Set up local emulators for Firebase products. This is where I think that the previous experiment had set up an emulator for local storage. I am going to go yes. I'm a bit of an offline guy. I like to have pre-production. Remote config. Configure a template file for remote config. Don't know what that is. It's interesting, isn't it? I'm actually going to Google this one. So what is it? Firebase, configure a template file for remote config. Let's give that a different try. What is remote config? Lets you change configuration values in your app without deploying a new version. For example, your app could read, enable new checkout, homepage banner, winter sale. Yeah, cool. I mean, it's cool. I don't have a framework for that. Like I do have a framework for that. I understand what it is. I just don't want to have I don't really want to add anything that I'm not going to use. Extensions. Let's go for an empty extensions manifest. Let's go for remote config. Let's go for set up Firebase AI logic without provisioning. No. Authentication. Set up Firebase authentication. Yes. No real-time database. No SQL Connect. Sure. Okay. Like. I'm sure I'm going to regret everything. Use an existing project. Yes. There's my project. Okay. Ensuring any required APIs, missing required. Okay, it's doing all its things. Let's just flick back over to what we were doing here before. So we initialized we've initialized our app and then initialize Firestore locally. Sure. Location of your Firestore database. We do everything in South America because that's a Rio-based business. I want to say South America East. What file for the Firestore rules? Let's do that. That seems fine. And what file should be used for the indexes? Default should be fine. So far it's been pretty good, I guess. I mean, so used to things just failing really in the world. Okay, what language would you like to use to write cloud functions? For cloud functions, I like Rust, but I don't have that option. So let's go TypeScript. I don't really have a preference of Python over TypeScript. I'm not particularly experienced at either, other than your de facto experience you get over 20 years. Do you want to use ESLint to catch probable bugs? Yes, I would like you to set up linting. That would be lovely. Thank you. Do you want to install dependencies with npm, or do you mean pnpm? Yeah. Look, yeah. I assume you mean pnpm. That'd be really annoying. Okay. I'm really hoping to get to the end of this and have a working application just so I can call the stream a day, commit the progress. None of that looks bad. Relative. What do you want to use as your public directory? Default. Configure a single page app. Rewrite all URLs to index.html. Good question. I kind of like, no, I want to have routes for everything. Configure as a single page app. No. So I want to have clear files that represent clear routes. Set up automatic builds and deploys with GitHub. Good question, because we run out of GitHub action tokens or whatever, worker minutes. I'm going to say yes because I want to see how, because it can reveal quite a lot about the process. So let's do that. I'm authenticating GitHub off screen. And yes, authorizing Firebase. Project sits in a free source repository, so just using, using me to authenticate that. And for which repository would you like to set up the workflow? Absolutely this one. And it's probably going to find some existing stuff there. Cannot be used with, if the provided authorization cannot be used with this repository if it's, did you remember to grant access? All right, so it's giving me the chance to redo this. So I'm just going to take this off screen and see if I can give it the appropriate access. Oh, I see. Yes, it's missing the access for the organization. Revoke that. And yep. Okay, that should work this time. Set up the workflow to run a build script before every deploy. And again, easy to remove, GitHub Actions. Let's go. What script should run before every deploy? npm run build. Sure. Actually, what did the default say? Yeah, install pnpm ci and pnpm run build. Sure. Set up automatic deployment to your site's live channel when the PR is merged. Yes. What is the name of the GitHub branch associated with your site's live channel main? Okay. Has not been set. Go to your console and click get started. Okay, so that's fine. I want to run a local server and see what I can see. This creates, okay, sure. You can accept. Give it a name. Okay, start my, there should be a dev command, shouldn't there? npm lock, workspace. Like, shouldn't there be a script that is run dev? Start my new local Firebase app. Yeah, that's what I mean. Emulators start, sure. It's the first time I've seen the word emulator used in this context. I'm not in a Firebase app directory. I couldn't identify a Firebase JSON. I really thought that that's what I would get in that last command. Rules, indexes. So maybe I'm going to pick up where this left off. I'm going to create the storage. So let's go. Which browser was I in? This one. Okay, I'm assuming this storage will be get started. I'm assuming this will be the Firestore. Oh, I see. It's just generalized bucket storage. Okay, so AEC Pontify Firebase storage.app. No cost location. Huh. Oh yeah, I see. I'm going to go for US East. If that's a no cost location, then why wouldn't I do that? All locations, access frequency. Just curious to see what this is. Rare, frequent. All right, I'm going with this free one. Start in production mode, yes. Right, so I had an error when I did emulator start. And I'm still missing. It's saying, but at this stage I'm going to get Firebase. Maybe I'll rerun Firebase init. Okay, there's my storage. That's great. I'm gonna, let's just chuck this in a README. And on that, let's do that. Storage link, just so I don't forget that for future ones. Let's chuck that in there. And I think I'm going to try and do Firebase init again. It's kind of like, I kind of don't want to do all that again. Well, I'd see it, so it looks to me like it might have failed at the last step. I think I did these things. Emulators, sure. Remote config, yes. Storage, yes. Hosting, not app hosting. And I think that's everything. Hopefully it's going to skip a lot of this stuff. No. South America East. Yes. Yes. I really hope I don't have to do this again. Yes. I'm going to skip the GitHub stuff. Let's just skip that for now. Okay. Oh, we didn't get to this point before, so we're going to use the storage rules. Now, which Firebase emulators do you want to set up? I would like to emulate the Firestore. And hosting. So this must be a carryover of the Firebase prior to being purchased by Google, because hosting emulator is kind of like, it's so guided. Why not just start a local server like every project does? But so it starts to get interesting that it has so many different emulators. I will say that. Which port would you like for your Firestore emulator? I'm going to go with the default. 8080 seems like a weird default for a port. Let's go 8989. And hosting emulator, that looks more rando. Which port do you want to use for the storage emulator? And would you like... So the reason why I changed 8080 is I've seen 8080 used a lot, but maybe it's just a common dev port. Whatever. And would you like to... Yeah, sure. Show me your bells and whistles. And which port do you want to use for the emulator UI? Leave empty to use any available port. I think that makes perfect sense to me. Yeah. So my assumption is I have a certain degree of discomfort with this because it's like it seems to be like unique. It seems to be something that's being done in a weird way. I'm really used to in PHP land, you don't need a lot of stuff. You want to run a database locally, and you got your hosting, but I have to also be really aware that I'm really used to dev tools, which are very popular and have all of the solutions. And I guess if someone came from JavaScript land and was using those dev tools, they would find them weird too. So I've just always had this feeling about Firebase as just, you're in your own little world. As long as it's popular enough, and obviously it was bought by Google, so it's going to be popular and going to have fairly broad, wide support, then it's okay. You learn it. You learn how it works. But so far, it feels a lot different to JavaScript projects that I've done where, you want to, you might use your NPM to run up a local server, which, lets you run in a browser locally, and it does enough for your app. So I suppose the big thing about Firebase is just the range of different first-class services it offers, and it has quite a complex, like local emulation kind of infrastructure that supports that, which I can dig. There's a little part of me that's like, this feels more complex than it needs to be. What are you doing? You're just reading and writing JSON files. Why wouldn't you just use Elastic or something, Elasticsearch, to store your JSON files, host your JavaScript files statically? Do you need server-side? Do you need some sort of server-side processing? Sure. Something I did read about Firebase when I was just reading about it is like it has can't remember what the word for it is, but where your data and your server data and your local data are kept in sync, like they're kept mirrored. So if you get that for free, sure, out of the box, you're just getting all this like technology which keeps everything in sync between a local version of the site and the server version of the site. And if it works perfectly, that's great. Remote config setup, cloud storage rules runtime. So this setup is a lot longer than I expected it to be for quote unquote a JavaScript app. Is it still even running? I'm gonna wrap the video here. I will start the next stream. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to make sure I start the next stream from a running app, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on this stream or the next stream fiddling around with little things that I might have missed or I might have done wrong or I might not understand. So I'm going to wrap this here. My name's Simon. My company is FreeSource. This series is about taking a HR app that was vibe coded and trying to productionize it. And the next video, what I'm hoping to sort of do, what I'm trying to get to is like a baseline Firebase app that I can then look at and go, okay, this is a shell. This is a working shell. It's running in the cloud. And we can now start porting some of the features from the Vibe Coded app into that app. So for now, I'll sign off. Thanks very much for joining.